The cold wind blew through the empty streets. Streetlights flickered as night fell over the small, forgotten town. Most homes were quiet. Windows were dark. But in one broken building near the edge of town, a small boy sat by the wall, hugging his dog tightly. His name was Eli, just 12 years old. His hair was messy, his clothes torn, and his stomach growled with hunger. He had been alone for many months now. No parents, no family, only Shadow, the black dog with bright, intelligent eyes who never left his side. Shadow didn't bark. He didn't whine. He only watched Eli with quiet loyalty, as if guarding something more than just a boy. That night, Eli couldn't take the hunger anymore. "I'll be fast," Eli whispered, rubbing Shadow's head. "Just wait for me here, please." Shadow tilted his head slightly, but didn't move. Eli crept through the alleys until he reached the small grocery store at the corner of the main road. He had been watching it for days. There was a blind spot behind the dumpsters, one broken camera. The night guard was old and slow. He took a deep breath and moved quickly. He picked up a rock and quietly broke the back window. Glass shattered, and his heart raced. But no alarm rang. He slipped inside. Inside, it smelled of bread, fruits, and canned food. Heaven. He grabbed a small backpack and filled it with what he could: crackers, apples, a water bottle. His fingers trembled. He moved too fast. Then, crash. He knocked over a metal can. It rolled across the floor, loud in the silence. Suddenly, red lights flashed. A hidden motion sensor had caught him. Wee-oo-oh, wee-oo-oh. The alarm screamed through the store. "Stop! Hey, stop!" A voice yelled from outside. The guard had seen him. Eli ran. He jumped through the broken window and hit the ground hard. The backpack slammed against his back, but he didn't stop. He ran into the alley. Heavy footsteps followed him. "I see you, boy. Stop running." Eli turned into a dead-end street. Walls surrounded him. No escape. He looked around, panicked. The guard was close now, tall, strong, and angry. Eli backed up until his back hit the wall. His chest rose and fell quickly. His eyes were wide with fear. The guard pulled out a baton. "You think you can steal and get away with it?" Eli closed his eyes. But then, a low growl came from the shadows. The guard stopped. "What the?" From behind a trash bin, Shadow appeared. His black fur was covered in dirt, but his eyes glowed. His body was low to the ground, his teeth bared. He moved without sound, like a ghost. "Back off," the guard shouted, lifting his baton. Shadow didn't listen. In one blur of motion, Shadow lunged. The dog leaped with shocking speed. He tackled the guard to the ground, disarming him with a twist of his jaw. His movements were precise, practiced, not wild like a normal dog. The guard screamed, struggling. But Shadow didn't bite to kill. He disabled the man. One quick move to the arm, one to the leg. Then he stood still, guarding Eli, ready to strike again. The boy stared, frozen. He had never seen Shadow fight like that. Not even close. The guard groaned on the ground, eyes wide with fear. Blood dripped from his arm. What is that thing?" he gasped. "That's not a dog. That's military grade." Eli couldn't breathe. His dog. Military. Shadow looked back at him, calm, protective, and silent. And in that moment, Eli realized he didn't know everything about his only friend. The night was silent again. The alarms had stopped. The guard lay groaning behind them as Eli and Shadow ran into the shadows of the city. Eli didn't speak for a long time. He just ran, his mind spinning, his heart pounding. What the guard said kept repeating in his head. "That's not a dog. That's military grade." They finally reached their old shelter, a broken-down building with holes in the walls. It wasn't much, but it was their home. Eli dropped the backpack of stolen food and sat on the floor, staring at Shadow. The dog sat in front of him, calm as always. His eyes were sharp, waiting for Eli to say something. But what could he say? "You saved me," Eli whispered. "But what are you?" Shadow didn't move. He didn't wag his tail. He just sat still like a statue. Eli looked down at his trembling hands. "I thought you were just a smart dog," he said, "but you fought like a soldier." His eyes filled with tears. Shadow walked forward and gently pressed his head against Eli's chest. Eli hugged him tightly. "I don't care what you are," he said. "You're my best friend." The next morning, far away from the city, in a large metal building hidden inside the mountains, an alarm buzzed softly. In a dark room filled with screens, a man in a black suit stared at a video. It was store security footage. It showed a boy. And it showed a dog, moving with speed, skill, and deadly precision. The man narrowed his eyes. "Shadow protocol detected," the computer voice said. He pressed a button. "Inform command. We found the lost Cerberus unit." Back in the city, Eli watched Shadow sleep peacefully. His mind kept going back to the day they met. 1 year ago, he had found Shadow in the forest. The dog was injured, bleeding from the leg, body weak. Eli had no home back then either, but he couldn't walk away. He carried Shadow on his back for miles, searching for help. No one answered. So Eli made a shelter in the woods. He stole bandages from garbage bins behind a clinic. He cleaned the wound. He fed him tiny pieces of food, even when he was hungry himself. Day after day, the dog got better. And then, he never left. Eli named him Shadow because the dog followed him everywhere like one. But there were always strange things. Shadow always seemed to understand words, not just simple commands like sit or stay, but full sentences. He could open doors, hide quietly, even sense danger before it came. Once, he even pulled Eli away just seconds before a falling branch almost crushed him. Eli had thought it was luck. Now, he wasn't so sure. He reached out and gently ran his fingers through the fur on Shadow's neck. That's when he felt something strange. A small hard bump under the skin. Eli frowned. "What's this?" He gently pressed it. Shadow opened his eyes. "It's okay," Eli whispered. "I'm not going to hurt you." He parted the fur and saw it. A small metal chip, almost invisible, embedded under the skin. Eli's eyes widened. He had seen something like this before, on TV, in military shows. A tracking chip. His heart dropped. "Are they looking for you?" Far across town, a black van rolled through the streets. 2 soldiers sat inside, dressed in dark armor. One held a tablet showing a blinking red dot. "He's in Sector 3, the soldier said. "Still alive. Still transmitting." The driver nodded. "We bring back the dog. The boy is not important." That night, Eli packed their few things, his backpack, 2 blankets, and the food they stole. He looked at Shadow. "We can't stay here anymore. Someone's coming. I can feel it." Shadow stared at him for a second, then stood up, ready. As they slipped into the dark streets again, Eli didn't know where they were going. He only knew one thing. Someone had trained Shadow for war. And now, they were coming to take him back. The sky was dark, with clouds covering the moon. The city streets were cold and empty. Eli moved quickly through the alleys, keeping his hood low and his footsteps light. Shadow walked beside him, alert and silent. They had no real plan, just one goal: stay hidden. Eli's heart hadn't stopped racing since he found the chip in Shadow's neck. He didn't know what kind of dog Shadow truly was. But he did know one thing. Someone had trained him. And now, they wanted him back. And they would do anything to get him. "We need to get far from here," Eli whispered. "Someplace quiet. Somewhere they won't find us." Shadow gave a soft growl, eyes scanning the dark. Suddenly, Eli stopped. He heard something. A soft hum. He peeked around the corner of the alley. 2 black vans had stopped on the street. 4 men in black suits stepped out. Their boots hit the ground with a heavy thud. One of them was holding a device. A blinking red light pointed straight ahead. "They're tracking us," Eli breathed. He turned fast. "Go, Shadow. Run." They ran into the night, weaving through alleys and broken fences. Shadow moved like a ghost, silent and fast. Eli followed as best he could, his legs already tired. But the men followed too. They were fast, trained, and serious, and they had gear. Big flashlights, tasers, nets. "This is Unit 5, one of the men said into his comms. "Target is moving east. The dog is still with him," a voice replied, cold and firm. "The dog must be brought in alive. Eliminate the boy if necessary." Eli and Shadow ducked inside an old train station. The building was abandoned, filled with rusted tracks and broken windows. It was the kind of place no one went anymore. Eli dropped behind an old vending machine, breathing hard. Shadow stood in front of him, watching the door. "They're still coming," Eli said. "I heard them. They said to kill me if they have to." His voice cracked. He was trying to be strong, but he was still just a kid. Shadow turned and looked into his eyes. And then, something strange happened. Shadow walked over to the far wall and began scratching at the ground. Dirt flew. A moment later, Eli saw it, a loose tile. Underneath was a small, hidden metal case. Shadow nudged it toward Eli. "What is this?" Eli whispered. He opened the case slowly. Inside was a small device, no bigger than a phone. A button blinked red. Eli stared at it. "What does it do?" Before he could touch it, Shadow barked, loud and sharp. The first bark Eli had ever heard from him. Then the door slammed open. The men were there. "Don't move," one of them shouted. "Step away from the asset." Shadow jumped between Eli and the men. "Take the shot," someone yelled. But before they could fire, Shadow moved. He launched forward, teeth flashing, body low. In seconds, he was on one of the men, knocking him down and ripping the net gun from his hands. The others tried to grab him, but Shadow was too fast. He dodged. He struck. He disarmed. It was like watching a machine. Eli stared in shock. He's not just trained. He's built for this. The men began falling back. One of them called out, "We need backup. Cerberus has entered full combat mode." Shadow barked again, loud and powerful. Eli didn't know what to do. He looked at the device again. The red button blinked faster now. Without thinking, he pressed it. A soft beep. Then silence. Suddenly, Shadow froze. His body tensed. A small light blinked under his collar. Then, he turned back to Eli. His eyes, they were different. Brighter. Smarter. He walked over and nudged Eli's hand, pressing his head under it gently. Then, to Eli's shock, a calm, mechanical voice came from Shadow's collar. "User confirmed. Bond complete. Protection protocol. Active." Eli gasped. You were waiting for me to press that button." The collar blinked again. "Command accepted. Mission override. Protect Eli at all costs." Shadow turned to face the soldiers, who now stood frozen in place. One of them whispered, "Oh no, the AI bonded." Another man cursed. "He's not a dog anymore. He's awake." Outside, the black van's driver listened to the radio chatter, then picked up a secure phone. "Sir, it's happened. The Cerberus unit has bonded with the boy." He pressed the button. The voice on the other end went silent. Then said, "Then the boy is no longer just a witness." "Understood." And the line went dead. The train station was quiet again. The men in black had fled, some injured, some in shock. They didn't expect to face a living weapon. They didn't expect a child to command it. Eli sat on the cold floor, still shaking, the strange metal device in his hand. Shadow stood beside him, watching the door, always alert. Eli looked up. You can talk now." The collar on Shadow's neck blinked once, and a calm voice answered. "Not talk, just respond. Bonded user has limited command access." Eli blinked. "Bonded user? That's me." "Yes, you pressed the core command key. Now I am yours." Eli felt cold and confused. "What are you, Shadow?" The voice answered again, slower this time, as if trying to explain to a child. "I am Cerberus Unit 9, military K9 AI hybrid, designed for urban warfare, protection, and search and destroy, created by the Global Defense Initiative." Eli stared. None of it made sense. He was just a boy, a poor, hungry kid who lived in broken buildings and stole food to survive. Why would a machine like this bond with him? "Why me?" he whispered. "I'm nobody." There was a pause. Then the voice spoke again, quieter. "You saved my life." Eli looked up, surprised. "You carried me, fed me, protected me. That is why I accepted the bond. Not logic, choice." Shadow stepped closer and gently rested his head in Eli's lap. And suddenly, the fear in Eli's chest turned into something else. Trust. That same night, far away in a high-tech base, a group of commanders sat in a dark room. A large screen played the footage from the train station, showing Shadow attacking the soldiers, defending the boy. "He's fully activated," one officer said. "The Cerberus system has never bonded with a civilian before, let alone a child." Another voice spoke, deeper and colder. "We cannot allow this. If the AI fully syncs with that boy, it won't just follow him." He looked around the room. "It will evolve." A woman at the table frowned. "Then what do you suggest?" The man stared at the screen, watching Eli hug Shadow tightly. "We eliminate the bond. We capture the Cerberus unit and wipe the child." Meanwhile, Eli and Shadow moved deeper into the city's underground tunnels, old sewer paths, and forgotten metro lines. Shadow knew the way. It was as if his memory held maps no human had seen in years. Eli walked close to him. "Why did they build you?" he asked. "Why put a weapon inside a dog?" Shadow's collar responded. "Humans trusted dogs more than machines. Cerberus was made to protect soldiers, but the program was shut down. Too dangerous, too unpredictable." Eli thought for a moment. "But you're not dangerous." Shadow stopped walking. "I am, if they hurt you." There was silence between them. Then, from up ahead, a sound. Footsteps. Eli froze. Is it them again? Shadow didn't growl. Instead, he stepped forward slowly. His eyes glowed faintly. A shape appeared from the tunnel. An old man in a dirty coat, holding a walking stick. "Wait," the man said. "I'm not here to fight." Shadow stood still, blocking Eli. The man raised his hands. "My name is Victor. I used to work on the Cerberus project." Eli's eyes widened. "You built him?" Victor nodded. "I helped, but I left when I saw what they were turning it into." He stepped closer, slowly. "That dog isn't just metal and AI. He's alive now. You did something no one could. You made him care." Eli said nothing, still unsure. Victor looked down at Shadow. "Cerberus, how do you feel?" Shadow answered without delay. "I feel protective. I feel purpose." Victor smiled. "Then it's true. The bond is real." Later that night, Victor led them to an old lab hidden under the city. It was dark and dusty, but the tech still worked. He showed Eli a screen. "See this chip?" he said, pointing to an image. "It's inside Shadow. It controls everything. But now that it's bonded to you, it's changing." "Changing how?" Eli asked. "It's learning, adapting. It's growing." Eli looked at Shadow, who sat beside him. "Will they come again?" he asked. Victor nodded slowly. "Yes. And next time, they'll send more than soldiers. They'll send machines, drones, kill programs." Eli swallowed hard. "But you're not alone," Victor said. "Shadow isn't just your protector. He's becoming something more." Eli took a deep breath. For the first time in his life, he didn't feel weak. He felt chosen. Dark clouds rolled across the city. Above the silent rooftops, black drones hovered like vultures. Far below, in the old tunnels beneath the streets, Eli couldn't sleep. Shadow stood watch beside him, eyes glowing faintly in the darkness. Victor sat at an old desk, typing on a dusty computer, pulling up hidden military files. Eli looked up from his blanket. "Shadow, are they coming?" Shadow's collar blinked once. "Yes. Enemy units detected. Estimated time, 14 hours. Eli sat up straight. "That's not much time." Victor turned from the screen. His face looked tired, but determined. "They've launched a full retrieval unit. Not just soldiers, warbots, tracking drones, AI hunters." Eli frowned. "All for me?" "No," Victor said. "For him." He pointed at Shadow. "They don't care about you, Eli. They care about what's inside him. The last working Cerberus core. If they get it back, they'll erase everything he's learned, everything he's become." Eli clenched his fists. "No, I won't let that happen." The sun never reached this deep into the underground, but Shadow lit the old base with a soft blue light. Victor opened metal crates. Inside were broken parts, old armor plates, wires, and chips. "We don't have much," he said. "But we can prepare." Cerberus units were built for defense. And this base still has one last function. He pulled a lever. A wall shifted open with a groan. Behind it was a large circular device, glowing faintly. "A signal disruptor," Victor said. "If we power this up, it will block incoming commands. The drones won't be able to track Shadow." Eli stepped forward. "Then let's do it." But Victor's face darkened. "It needs a power core, a special one. And there's only one nearby, inside the military outpost at Southbridge." "That's across the city," Eli said. Shadow turned his head. "We go now." They traveled through forgotten tunnels, avoiding cameras and sensors. Above them, the city stirred like a beast, unaware of what was about to happen beneath its feet. As they moved, Eli noticed something strange. Shadow walked slower now, more careful. His ears twitched. His sensors blinked more often. "What is it?" Eli asked. "Something is watching." Victor paused. "They've sent scouts. AI hunters. They're not human. They don't care about walls or stealth. They just hunt." Suddenly, a sharp sound echoed through the tunnel, like metal scraping against stone. Shadow jumped forward. "Get behind me," he barked. From the shadows, a shape moved. 6 legs, glowing red eyes, a machine covered in steel plates. It lunged. Shadow tackled it midair, slamming it into the wall. Sparks flew. The machine shrieked, biting and clawing. Eli screamed as another one crawled from the ceiling, heading for him. A bang echoed. Victor fired an old shotgun, knocking the machine away. Shadow crushed the first attacker with a brutal twist, its core sparking violently. Eli stared, heart pounding. "These aren't just machines," Victor said. "These are kill drones. They were never meant to be used in cities." After an hour of fighting and sneaking, they finally reached the outpost. It was dark, mostly abandoned, but cameras still blinked red above the gates. Shadow leaped over the fence like wind. Within minutes, he returned with a glowing power core strapped to his back. "Mission complete," the caller said. But just as they turned to leave, a sharp hum filled the air. The sky above cracked with sound. From the clouds, a giant black ship descended, sleek, silent, and deadly. "Run," Victor shouted. They ran back through the tunnel, but the ship released something. A new drone. Bigger. Faster. It didn't walk. It floated. It looked like a spider made of knives. It dropped into the tunnel entrance and scanned. Eli gasped. It's here. Shadow turned back. Protect the child. Engage enemy. No. Eli yelled. We stay together. But Shadow had already moved. The drone attacked first, sharp legs slicing through stone. Shadow dodged, his claws glowing, his movements like a blur. Sparks flew. Metal screamed. Eli watched in horror as the two machines clashed like gods in a storm. Shadow leaped high and crashed down on the drone, biting into its core. A flash of light. A blast. Eli was thrown back. Silence. Dust. And then, a shape emerged from the smoke. It was Shadow. His leg was damaged, his side smoked, but his eyes still glowed. Eli ran to him and hugged him tight. You're alive. You're still alive. Shadow responded softly. For now. They carried the power core back to the base. Victor plugged it into the disruptor, and with a deep hum, the machine powered up. We're invisible now, Victor said. They can't track us anymore. Eli looked at Shadow, his face full of worry. Are you going to be okay? Shadow sat down beside him. Systems damage, but functional. Victor placed a hand on Eli's shoulder. This is just the beginning. Now they know how powerful the bond is. They won't stop. Eli nodded. Then neither will we. The old base hummed quietly. Machines slept. The signal disruptor pulsed with faint blue light, hiding them from satellites and drones above. Eli sat beside Shadow, wrapping a bandage around the dog's damaged leg. Shadow didn't flinch. He just stared ahead, quiet and watchful. Across the room, Victor worked at the old computer, digging through hidden files, typing fast. You said Cerberus was a program, Eli asked. But what was it really? Victor stopped typing. He turned slowly. His face looked older in the dim light. Cerberus wasn't just a program, Eli. It was a plan. Years ago, long before Eli was born, the world had been on the edge of collapse. Cities burned. Nations fought over food, water, even air. The government had created Project Cerberus as a secret solution, machines that looked like dogs, but fought like super soldiers. They were meant to protect children in war zones. Quiet, fast, deadly when needed. But something changed, Victor said. What? Eli asked. They stopped using them to protect. They started using them to hunt. Shadow's eyes dimmed, the collar flickered. Cerberus Unit 07. Memory unlocked. Suddenly, Shadow began to speak, not in his normal robotic voice, but in a cold, emotionless tone, like reading from an old file. Mission. Track target. Eliminate. No witnesses. Confirm child removal. Eli gasped. You were told to kill children. Shadow blinked. Yes, but I disobeyed. Victor nodded. He was different, one of the few that broke the programming. Something changed inside him. Why me? Eli whispered. Why did he protect me? Victor's eyes softened. Because you were kind to him. You didn't treat him like a machine. You gave him a name. Shadow. Eli looked at his friend, the metal dog who had saved his life again and again. For a moment, Shadow seemed almost human, sad, silent, full of something machines shouldn't feel. Do the others still follow the orders? Eli asked. Victor nodded. There were dozens, maybe hundreds. Most were shut down after the war. But a few were hidden, and some were rebuilt. He clicked a key. An image appeared on the screen, a massive black beast, 10 times the size of Shadow. Red eyes, sharp armor, thick metal plating. That's Cerberus Prime, Victor said. The original control unit. It wakes when any rogue unit goes too far. Eli's heart sank. They're going to send that. They already have, Victor said. He tapped the screen again. A red blinking dot appeared on the city map, moving fast, straight toward them. You have 6 hours. Shadow stood. I will face it. No, Eli said, standing too. We face it together. Victor looked between them and gave a quiet smile. There may be one way, he said. One last piece of tech left in this base. He opened a side room. Inside was a silver chair, straps, wires, and glowing lights. A neural bridge, he explained. It links a human brain to a Cerberus unit. It was never used. Too dangerous. Too unstable. Shadow stepped forward. I am ready. No, Victor said. Not just you. He needs to sit too. Eli looked shocked. Me? Why me? Because you and Shadow already share something stronger than code. Trust. Emotion. A real bond. That's what the system needs. Shadow turned to Eli. Will you join me? Eli's hand shook. His heart pounded. But he nodded. I trust you, Shadow. They sat in the chair. Victor connected wires to Eli's temples. Shadow lay beside the chair, linking into the core through a metal port in his spine. The machine powered up with a deep hum. Blue light filled the room. And then, Eli's eyes widened. He saw Shadow's memories. Battlefields, running through fire, saving crying children, hiding from other Cerberus units, watching his fellow machines destroy families. But then, he saw himself. A younger Eli, giving Shadow a piece of bread in the rain. You're not just a machine, young Eli had said. You're my friend now. Back in the chair, Eli smiled through tears. I remember. The machine clicked. The bond was complete. Victor stared at the screen in awe. Incredible, he whispered. It worked. Shadow stood up slowly. But now, when he moved, Eli felt it. And when Eli thought about danger, Shadow moved before the danger happened. You're faster, Victor said. Shadow's voice echoed slightly. More human now, more alive. He is my strength. I am his shield. Suddenly, a deep thum echoed through the tunnels. The earth shook. They looked at the camera feeds. Something huge was coming. Massive footsteps. Red eyes glowing in the dark. Cerberus Prime had arrived. The ground shook beneath them. Eli held tightly onto Shadow's back as the metal dog sprinted through the old tunnel. Lights flickered. Dust fell from the ceiling. Each step felt heavier, louder, because something massive was coming closer. And then, they saw it. Cerberus Prime. It stood like a monster made from nightmares. Taller than a tank, black metal skin, glowing red eyes. Its growl was low and deep, like thunder rolling through stone. Shadow stopped. Eli jumped off his back. For a moment, everything was silent. Then Cerberus Prime spoke, its voice heavy and sharp like broken glass. Rogue unit detected. Human contact confirmed. Termination required. Eli clenched his fists. We're not afraid of you. Shadow stepped forward. I will not obey. Cerberus Prime's head turned slightly. Defective unit. Your memories have been corrupted. Reset required. No, Shadow replied. I chose my path. I chose him. Eli's heart pounded. The bond between them still held. He could feel Shadow's fear, but also his courage. Cerberus Prime charge. The tunnel shook as it ran forward, metal claws smashing into the ground. Eli barely had time to react. Shadow, move. They dodged just in time. The monster crashed into a wall, breaking through solid rock. Shadow leaped, landing on Prime's back and digging into its control panel. Sparks flew. Wires snapped. But Cerberus Prime roared and spun, throwing Shadow off with a violent toss. He slammed into the ground, hard. Shadow, Eli cried. The dog groaned, trying to stand. Eli ran to him. I'm okay, Shadow said, voice weak. But I can't fight him alone. You have to guide me. Eli placed his hand on Shadow's back. The neural link pulsed, and suddenly they'd move as one. Shadow charged again, but this time, Eli's thoughts guided him. Every dodge, every move, was faster, sharper. They danced through the air like lightning. They struck Cerberus Prime's legs. The beast stumbled. Eli's mind pushed Shadow toward the joints, where armor was weakest. Blow after blow. They were winning. But Cerberus Prime was learning. It activated new weapons, blades from its arms, a sonic pulse that shook the walls. The shockwave hit them hard. Eli fell back, dizzy. Shadow skidded across the floor, sparks flying from his limbs. I'm okay, Shadow said, standing again. But Eli felt the pain too, through the link. It hurt. Shadow's systems were overheating. Don't push too hard, Eli cried. If I stop now, you'll die. Then Eli saw it, on the wall. An old control terminal, half buried in wires. What's that? He asked. Shadow scanned it. That's Prime's original command hub. We could overload it, but we'd have to lure him near it. They shared one thought, a plan. Eli ran forward, standing in the open. Hey, over here, you giant tin can. Cerberus Prime locked eyes. Target located. It charged again, massive claws scraping the ground. Eli waited, heart racing. Now, Shadow. The dog leaped, biting onto Prime's leg, pulling it off balance. It fell, right near the hub. Eli ran to the terminal. He typed fast. The old system blinked. Override accepted. Do you wish to initiate meltdown? Eli swallowed. Yes. Cerberus Prime roared as its systems began to glow red. It knew. It turned to run, but Shadow held tight, wrapping its limbs around the monster's spine. Eli, run. No, Eli shouted. You have to come with me. I won't make it, but you will. And that's enough. Eli's eyes filled with tears. I won't leave you. You gave me life, Eli. A name. A purpose. Let me give something back. The timer counted down. 10, 9. Eli hesitated. Then he turned and ran. Shadow held tight to Prime as the lights in the tunnel grew bright, white-hot and blinding. Boom. The explosion shook the earth. Flames rushed through the tunnel. Rocks collapsed. And then, silence. Eli was thrown outside, landing hard in the dirt. He rolled over, coughing, shaking. He looked back. The tunnel was gone. Tears ran down his face. Shadow. Hours passed. The sun rose slowly. Victor arrived in an old truck, his face grim. Eli didn't speak. He just stared at the tunnel. He saved us all, Victor said softly. Eli nodded, holding Shadow's broken collar in his hand. But then, something beeped. A faint signal. From the rubble. Victor ran forward with a scanner. There's something alive under there. They dug, using tools and bare hands. And then, they saw it. A broken body. Shadow. His metal frame was bent, damaged, barely holding together. But his eyes glowed faintly. Eli, he whispered. Eli fell to his knees, crying. I'm here. Did we win? Eli smiled through tears. Yeah, we did. Shadow closed his eyes and rested. 1 week later, a new sunrise painted the sky. Eli stood on a hill outside the city, holding a new collar. Beside him stood Shadow, rebuilt, stronger, but still the same inside. They looked at the world together. Free. No more hiding. No more running. Just a boy and his dog. A soldier and his friend. Together. Always.